On May 17th, 2023, the anime Oshinoko released its 6th episode titled Ego Surfing. It sparks controversy, the controversy of Akane Kurokawa, whose story has some close resemblance with a certain tragic event that occurred in 2020. It's a rather old news, but it's such a shame that the controversy overshadowed a highly moving story that moves people's hearts. The story of Akane Kurokawa, the perfect victim that were so mentally vulnerable because of her talents, environments, and tendencies, but against all odds, not just survived hell on earth, but became unbreakable in the process. Here's how. This video doesn't have anything to do with the controversy. It's all about the fictional character, Akane Kurokawa. And oh yeah, spoiler alert, you'll hear this and see this every time I'm going to say something spoilery. Now, I love Oshinoko. I enjoy the brain-crashing stunt it gives me and the fandom every 2 weeks, and I love the chaos it brings. Yeah, the latest arc has been a wild ride. Another reason is the same as the reason Abiko-sensei hides behind Yoriko-sensei all the time. Fist for the eyes. Oshinoko, in a nutshell, tells a story about Goro Amamiya, who gets reincarnated with his previous life's memory into the body of his favorite idol newborn son. The idol is the legendary Ai Hoshino, and Goro lives again as a kid with a shameful name, Aqua Hoshino. Hey, at least it's not just horn-capped. And then the second plot twist happens. Ai Hoshino, the idol on the rise to greatness, was murdered. The most likely mastermind, the biological father of Aqua. So now, Aqua is on the quest for revenge to find his biological father, who is supposed to be someone in the entertainment industry, and make him pay the price. Well, that's the synopsis, but it skips the big part of Oshinoko. Oshinoko is also the story of the entertainment industry. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the sinister. They show good things, like most talents are open to friendship and don't pick friends based on popularity, because the feeling of camaraderie as an entertainer is stronger than we think. And some reality shows might be more real than we think. They also show things we already expect, like how big of control the bigger stars can have. And for the well-known names, 3 commercials are the only thing they need to buy a Bentley. Subscribe now. So they show the lifestyle, the ups and downs, what kind of people survived that, and those that got chewed and left with nothing. The story of Akane is this. Akane is a character introduced in the reality dating show arc. She's 17 and shown as an acting genius. However, she made a dire mistake in the reality dating show she was part of. She lost control and physically hurt one of the fan favorite casts, and the net eviscerated her for it. Saying it was bad is an insult. It was a disgustingly bad mob anger. People leaked her past photos, came up with fake stories, and even slandered her parents for it. Questions started to come up. What about her acting career, her agency, her future as an actress, her future as a person? And amidst all of the confusion in the stormy night, she was saved in just nick of a time by Aqua, with a scream straight out of Nightmare. Until the attempt, that's the story. And for lots of people, that's it, you know. The exit door was there and people would run at the first sight of it. Her friends gave her a choice. She could step down, leave the reality show, and recuperate. But ultimately, she decided to continue. Good decision? Bad? Brave? Foolish? I don't know. But one thing that I know, it was a new start for her. Because after that, it's like we get an enhanced version of Akane Kurokawa. It's the literal representation of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. In the case of Akane, it makes her stronger, hotter, got her a hot boyfriend, until years later, her success in bouncing back from hell proved to be the start of one hell of a career, an award-winning rising star in Oshinoko universe. The girl survived hell, and she brought souvenirs. The question is, what actually happened after she decided to continue the reality show? In psychological perspective, why does it have so big of an impact? And to understand that, we need to start from what was wrong in the first place in Akane's head, and understand that being a genius doesn't come without a price. There is one word that can explain Akane's outburst, and the journey to get there started from what happened inside Akane's head to what she had to deal with. So first, what exactly happened inside Akane's head? Although it's not always, when you hear the term something genius, like acting genius, you don't expect someone exceptionally gifted with an IQ of 160 plus. It's just a marketable pop label we put into an outlier. But an outlier is an outlier, and they're really good at something. Just like Akane, she observes, asks questions, analyzes her character target, and then comes up with some kind of behavioral profile. A really comprehensive behavioral profile with crazy accuracy. And then according to Kana, Akane then flawlessly immerses herself into those said characters while acting as them. So in stage plays and movies, like in season 2, that's like breakfast for her. But there's a problem here. What if there's no character to analyze? And what if there's no instruction to act in the first place? Give her new rules, and now what? Love for Real, the reality show, is that it's a reality show. They use their real name and they don't need to act if they don't want to. It's not about acting, it's more about improvising your personality and charm, just like what Yuki did with her exaggerated emotions. But if you see Akane in episode 6, she was still trying to use her method. She asked around about what would make her stand out and got an uninspiring and shallow answer basically. Just be an antagonist for Yuki. Well, that's why even though she took actions based on that, people didn't respond earlier. You know, the actions were there, but the personality wasn't. And this is what I mean by the price of being a genius. Akane spent years training her craft, and she lost something because of that. One of them, in this case, is flexibility. You can name lots of geniuses that fumble in other areas. One of the more extreme case is like Glenn Gould, one of the greatest musicians ever that used trash bag to carry his everyday item. You know, geniuses and their quirks. So now she's stuck with a not so working method and mediocre results. Now, let's look what she had to deal with. In episode 6, the show was nearing the end of the season. There was not much time left for Akane to produce results. She was also pressured by her agency. Her manager was chewed because Akane couldn't bring results. And now combined all of that, we have one thing that can even make a genius do stupid things: desperation. Then Akane panicked when Yuki challenged her and she lost control. Yeah, who would have thought? But that's far from over. Now what would happen if we add mob anger above all that? The answer? A perfect victim. Here's what I mean by that. Look at this diagram. It's a diagram of Beck's cognitive triad. It shows what happens inside the mind of someone with depression and explains one thing: why after Akane cut Yuki, Akane continuously made terrible decisions. First, she forced herself to read hate comments. Really questionable. Second, she didn't tell anything to her mother. Well, rather understandable, but this is a big issue and she needs to know. So again, questionable. No matter the excuses, she still responded to texts and came to school, but she was essentially isolating herself emotionally. She didn't open up, although there were a couple of people who were still on her side, like her manager and other cast. And this is when it gets dangerous. Negative thoughts about the world, just see the gazillion comments. Negative comments about the future, well, easy for her to see her career as over. And the negative views on oneself, the excessive guilt shows that clearly. The triangle has been completed. And what does that mean? That means good decision making is out the window. It explains everything. Why all the bad decisions? Simple. No one in this condition can think straight. And I mean no one. Yeah, the perfect victim. Now you understand how dire the situation is, but she miraculously survived, and not just survived, she unknowingly succeeded in turning this controversy to her advantage, thanks to her and mainly 3 other people. By the way, I need to remind you that what I'm going to show you isn't advice. Most people need more personalized treatment. Different people, different problems, different solutions. So let's start with the elephant in the room. The video. The quote-unquote hero here is Aqua. Based on the anime, the video is more of a way to calm down the masses. It shows not only that Yuki not want the harassment, but also that Akane isn't a total bitch. But I want to give you another viewpoint on this. Remember Beck's cognitive triad from before? One of the points is the negative view of the world. To simplify, it's a thinking pattern when you believe that the world is conspiring against you, which make your experience basically meaningless. So how do you counter that? Well, in this case, there's one thing that goes exceptionally right in episode 7. It's a clip that I showed in the beginning of this video. It's when Aqua, Yuki, and the other cast members present themselves themselves as allies of Akane. Even Yuki's lack in expression feel warm and full of worry here. Then it gets reinforced further by Aqua's video that further emphasizes that we are in this together. And Aqua's video idea hits two birds with one stone here. With the video, he not only shows the bystanders another viewpoint to calm the comments, but he also succeeds in challenging Akane's negative view of the world. As a result, when Akane told Yuki, Aqua, and Bam that she was coming back, she was more open, including on other ways of approaching the main problem. So what's next then? The highlights of episode 7 are mainly the video, but there's one really underrated part in this episode. The hero this time? You know, just the best girl of the series. Come here, do you realize how important Mem is in this entire case? Seriously, this is the dynamic duo, boys. And Yuki, of course, but Mem the
12 sleepless hours.
So what did Mem and Yuki do this time? Remember that Akane was stuck with her method? They both showed how Akane might want to step forward after this. And it was a simple suggestion. Instead of thinking about what you need to do, what about what you need to be? Just act as someone else. A really rational one, considering that Akane is an actress, but Akane missed it because she had tunnel vision before. And it changes everything. And let me explain why before we enjoy the rest of the story. There are 3 reasons why it's such an impactful suggestion, even though it's really simple. First, it's kind of a low-hanging fruit for Akane. She's an actress. It's her biggest forte. Why not use it a little differently? And that's why even. Second, if we're assuming that Akane wasn't entirely recovered yet back then, she still could do it. It's home territory for her. And third, and the most important, it opens up Akane for a chance to gain one thing. The one thing that helped her mental condition, but also snowballed her name to the next level. It's such a simple word and concept, but I think people appreciate it more and more today. Progress. Look, I do think that there's no chance that she had fully recovered when she just came back to the set. When we're talking about people going through depression, what I mean by progress isn't like your usual to-do list. Finish the report, schedule a date, buy some socks online. No, it's not that. It's more like get out of bed, walk outside your room, eat a spoonful, open up your journal, write one word. For these people, every bit of progress matters. No matter how small it is. When you feel hopeless, even these things get really tough. But Akane needed that because she needed to trust herself again. And mind you, the first problem Akane had was that she was stuck, lacking progress when she was desperate for it. And now, with a clearer head, there's a chance to make some. So she stepped outside, and just like the old Akane, she did her research. She drowned herself into the persona of Ai Hoshino. She was at full speed, her talents were on full display, and when she wore that mask of Ai, Akane became unbreakable. Everyone couldn't look anywhere else. Aqua was blushing, and for Akane, finally, after all the hell on earth, she was making meaningful progress. She achieved it in a really Akane's fashion. And if you ask me, the success isn't about Ai's persona, well, at least not entirely. A timid girl who nearly lost everything and suddenly charmed every single eye on her. Honestly, what story can beat that for a reality show? The producer knew it, definitely. The fans loved it. So when Akane took the throne, no one could even complain.